Wagwan YouTube, it is Kiki here, back for another video. In today's video, we are going to talk about how much it costs me to get my food trailer up and running on the road, ready to go. All right, so I'm going to break down everything from the purchase of the trailer, how much that costs, from the build to the paint out, to me supplying it with everything I need, the items needed for inspection, all of the nitty-gritty details and how much it costs me, right down to licensing, insurance, you name it. So I have a long detailed list of all the charges that I'm itemizing for you guys, and we're going over it. And yeah, so just watch my video and learn some things, and if you guys have any questions, drop it down in the comments. I do want to mention this again. I mentioned in my previous video, this is what I did for my trailer and what worked best for me. Just because I had this build out and had these expenses doesn't mean this is how you have to build your trailer, and doesn't mean you have to follow the same exact steps as I did in terms of purchasing the stuff you need. As mentioned in my last video, I went the propane route for my trailer, propane and electric. If you would like to start a food truck and your funds is not as large, or whatever the case is, you don't want to spend that much into it, you can opt to do an electric running trailer, and that will free up some expenses on that side as well. Okay, so keep that in mind when we're going over the stuff that I have. Okay, I also bought everything in my trailer brand new. That is also another thing you don't have to do. You could find things from Facebook Marketplace. You could buy things off of eBay. You could build things yourself. You know, there's many options for building out a food trailer. It doesn't have to be brand spanking new, and it doesn't have to be super expensive either. There's affordable ways to kind of hack this in a way. So to start, I will include the overall total at the very end of the video, okay? So the trailer I bought was a 7x12 trailer, okay? The trailer I bought was just an empty shell meant for concession, but it did not have the windows, it didn't have the sinks in there yet, it just had the electrical outlets on the wall, but the trailer was empty, it was a shell, okay? But it was meant for concession, as a concession branded trailer, okay? And so at the time when I purchased my trailer, now mind you, my last video, I went to the trailer dealership, that's what I'm calling it, the trailer lot, several times, okay? First time I was just looking, getting an idea. Second time I had a clearer vision of what I wanted, how much equipment or things I needed, the space I wanted, stuff like that, right? And seeing the trailers in person really set it in perspective in terms of how much space I do and don't have. So once again, I recommend viewing a food truck in person. Whether you're ready to pull the trigger and buy today or not, still view the trailer, get inside of it, and really feel what it feels like to be in a food truck, in the space. See how small of a space it is for you, see how big of a space it is for you. You know, everyone's preference. So the trailer price, mind you, once again, this is a 7x12 trailer, brand new. It was sold to me at a sale price of $6,999. Now, this is before service fee and tax. They also charged me, I was looking at the bill. I went through my old bills and everything. I kept record of everything. They also charged me $200 for the tires that's on the trailer. I'm like, okay. So with tax, that $200 charge, the sale price of the trailer itself, it was on sale when I bought it. The grand total for the trailer itself, no sink package, meaning we viewed trailers that had sinks and stuff. This one did not have that. The overall total for the trailer itself was $7,447.65. I paid that and I took it off the lot. All right. So that is the trailer cost itself, okay? Mind you, without sinks. That's just the trailer shell, 7x12 tires on there, okay? So now, moving to the build out. This is where the bulk of our expenses are, obviously. All right, so in my trailer, I have AC. Now, one thing I didn't mention in my previous video, I did shop around to kind of get an idea of how much other builders and other people are charging to build out the trailer with the same exact equipment that I wanted, and I was comparing prices to who had the cheapest build for me. So, once again, I live in Florida. Florida is really hot, And when I was looking for different builders, just trying to get an idea of how much they cost, one of the builders is like, oh, you don't need AC, you just have the hood system and that pulls air in. And I almost fell for it, but their build without AC was still more expensive than my build with AC for my initial builder, right? So I'm so happy I didn't fall for that trap, because Florida's hot, okay? Especially in the summer. I've realized how much more brutal it is to work on a food truck in the summer. That is by far the hardest season to operate in, because the conditions, it's raining, it's super hot, you're working with hot equipment all day. So you have to be mindful of that. So I'm so happy I got AC, because it helps. Like, the way my AC is, where it is, it's on my side. I call it my side. My side is the cold station side next to the stove, because I do all the cooking. The other side, where the fryers are, the hood is over the stove and the fryers, and the window's right in front of it. And that pulls in cool air, fresh air, all of that. So the person who's in the window gets all of that air, and everyone on that side gets all of that fresh air. Good for them. Not for me on the other end. Me on the other end, if my AC is off, it gets really hot down in that corner, okay? So AC, I believe it's called a split unit. I don't know. I'll show you guys clips and videos in the video, like, of the specs of my trailer, to really put it in perspective of what I'm talking about. But the AC unit was $1,100, okay? 6-foot hood, that is the metal thing at the top of the trailer that has a little 3-panel grate. It's 6 feet long. That's where the fryers and the stove go under, because those are our heat elements, our propane elements. The hood itself is $2,700. Then the fire system, that is the big white tank that's hanging on the wall, and that's the hoses that run across the hood. That releases a liquid or a gas, or it releases stuff to put a fire out if a fire were to occur. There's a chain in the hood system. It's like once it reaches a certain temperature, the chain will break and it will trigger the fire system, okay? So that whole mechanism is $3,000. That is separate from the cost of the hood. $2,700 for the hood, $3,000 for the fire system itself, okay? Then we have the gas lines. The gas lines is what connects the propane to the elements on the food truck. That would be my 2 fryers and my stove. So you have gas lines. Those gas lines are $1,800, okay? And something to note, just to be aware of, at the time of the build of my trailer, you know, there's different rules, different ordinances, there's different things as you go county to county, state to state. At the time of my trailer build, it was fine for the gas lines to be on the inside of your trailer. Now, certain counties have changed their rules or regulations, whatever you want to call it, and they want your gas lines to be on the outside of your trailer, typically run underneath the trailer. So I am safe in my own county, which is good, but I have to be careful when I do bigger events. My dog is playing with the bone under the chair. I have to be careful when going to other counties, other cities, signing up for large events, stuff like that, wherever they have a fire marshal, or I need to just really check ahead and make sure that my trailer is up to code in that other area. It's not that it's not allowed anywhere, it's just certain areas have this new ordinance, this new rule, this new thing going on. So that is something recent that has happened since having my trailer. So if you're having a trailer build out, and if you're running gas, try and have the gas lines put underneath, because then you'll be safe everywhere you go, okay? And that change happened because there's been a couple of trailer explosions, and like, I think Miami was a big popular story. The person they blew up, unfortunately. They lived, but, you know, if their gas lines were on the outside, they would have avoided that problem. So I think that has been more of an issue, a growing issue for people or in the food truck community. So once again, gas lines, $1,800. Then next, the sinks. Sinks meaning the 3 sinks, the water tank, the water pump, water heater, all of that it's considered a sink package, or at least that's what they called it with my builder, and that's what they called it at the trailer, whatever you call it, I don't know, the trailer lot. They called it the sink package. So water heater, water pump, your your gray water tank, and your fresh water tank. All of that ran me $1,800 as well, okay? RV plug, that is the long cord that connects your trailer to power. So I think the cord I have is 20 foot. You can also find them on Amazon. My builder included it in my build, stuff like that. Like I said, he got everything like set and ready for me. RV plug was $175. All right. Now, equipment wise, we have 2 deep fryers. Each deep fryer is $900, so that'd be $1,800 in total for 2 deep fryers. Then I have a 4-burner stovetop with a stand underneath. So that is 4 burners, 1, 2, 3, 4. And there's a table underneath that it sits on, and that table has storage underneath it. That whole set together is $750. Then I have an upright glass door fridge. That's where I store my juices, my extra food, all kinds of stuff goes in that fridge. So that fridge is $14.50, okay? Then I have a 27-inch prep table, AKA my cold station. Like I said, that's the station where I mainly work at because I cook all the food. So anything that has to be cooked, it goes from the cold station into the pot, or cold station into the fryer, whatever the case is. Everything is prepped over there. Yeah, cold station. That cold station itself, it came with a little cutting board, was $14.50 as well. So the fridges, $14.50 for both. All right. Next is the window. So like I said, the trailer was just the trailer and that's it. The window did not have the glass. It didn't have a mesh, stuff like that. So the window itself ran me $800. It had the flap, the opening for the window, but the glass wasn't there. So the glass and the work to put it in, everything, $800. Then on the outside of my trailer, there is a folding ledge. Like, say this is the trailer wall and this is the ledge for the outside window, and it has like a latch where you push it and it folds down. So that ledge that folds up and down was $225 to put that in. I don't know the exact size, but that whole ledge mechanism goes up and down, $225. I also got a spare tire from the builder. That was $100. That's come in handy a bunch of times, believe it or not. All right, so then that is pretty much the build out. So now we're gonna shift gears to the other important things, such as the propane tank, generators, stuff like that. So propane tank, I have a 30-pound, I believe it's a 30-pound. I have a 30-pound propane tank. That's like the medium size. So not your average grill propane tank, like not your Blue Rhino, you exchange that kind of propane. That one is the smallest size or smaller size. This one is probably like that size and a half bigger, okay? It's like kind of like a taller tank kind of deal, okay? So that's the 30-pound tank, and the tank itself, empty, is $65, okay? To get those tanks filled, depending on where you go, it can get up to $30 currently. You know, just like regular petrol, gas prices change, so does the propane gas as well. So usually at most, I'll pay $30, okay, for a full refill. Another important thing that I needed for the trailer was a grease bucket. That is where I drain my oil. I strain my oil and I drain it into that bucket, so that way when we're driving, that's how the oil is stored, so it doesn't slosh and splash everywhere. It's stored into a grease-specific bucket, and it has a lid that's airtight and everything, and that's how we transport our oil. And then we pick up the bucket and dump it in the fryer and, you know, repeat, drain, all that. So that grease bucket was $92. I ordered that from Vivor. That is like a restaurant supply store that's online. So $92, I got free shipping in that order. Then the next big expense is the generator. So I have a story time for that, but that'll be in another video. But my first generator, that's a hint right there. I went through a generator or two. So my first generator was about anywhere between $900 and $1,000. Now, in Florida, I don't know if this is the same for other states, but in Florida, we do have a hurricane season, and we also have a point in time where those hurricane preparedness, readiness items are tax-free. So I happened to buy my generator during that time. I can't find the exact receipt for it, but I paid between $900 and $1,000 for that generator, and that was a Furman generator, and that was a 9400 watt generator. Okay, so I'll talk about generators more in depth in another video, but the wattage is basically how much power you're running from your trailer. A 9400 is about kind of what I needed, so that's the type of generator I got. There's definitely some things I wish I knew when purchasing a generator that I know now, so I know what to do better next time, that I'll let you guys know in another video. After the generator, we have the steam table. So I ordered the steam table on my own. The builder actually recommended that I buy it from Vivor because it was a great price, super easy to put together. The steam table has two sections that hold like 2 full trays essentially, or you could put your other size hotel pans in there. That steam table was about $300, okay? And I assembled it myself, super easy to do. You guys could see that in my last video. Then we have miscellaneous items. So for me, miscellaneous items was like my pots, my pans, cleaning supplies, food packaging materials, so that would be like my to-go containers, my plastic bags, my plasticware, signage, all of that I just kind of estimated at about $600 because all those are crucial to opening the trailer. But for you guys, that may vary depending on what type of food you're doing, stuff like that. So that's those items. Now, for just food, or not food, just for your trailer, and not just for your trailer inspection. For your inspection though, you will need things like an extinguisher, a K-class extinguisher, and oh, I missed an item. Did I say deep freezer already? I also purchased a deep freezer for $200, if I didn't mention that as part of the equipment. And then the other portion of stuff I had to purchase was the extinguisher. So you need 2 types of extinguishers. One is an ABC extinguisher, meaning that is that red and black extinguisher. That can range in price from $800, or not $800, oh my God, from $80 to $120. All right, not $800. A tip I learned when purchasing my extinguisher is that make sure when you purchase it that you are aware of the date on the extinguisher, because they could have it on the shelf for months and that extinguisher may be close to expiring, or it may be expired already, and that could cause you to fail your inspection. So I recommend, at first I almost bought it from like Lowe's, Home Depot, but then I had to get my K-class extinguisher, and I ended up getting that one first, and I took it to the fire inspectors to get it like registered and get all that stuff approved. And that's when they were like, oh, do you need your ABC extinguisher too? And then they sold it to me there as well. So I don't remember the exact price I paid for the ABC extinguisher, but the ABC extinguisher, once again, ranges from $80 to $120. And the K-class, which is a kitchen-specific extinguisher, I will go over all these terms and details in another video, but the K-class is that silver, larger extinguisher, is between $100 and $200, okay? So you see how these charges add up. Now, for the last bit of expenses, we have the cost of an LLC, okay? The LLC formation, if it's your first year open as an LLC, your cost of it will be $125 and probably some tax. Now, mind you, this is for Florida. I don't know how much LLC costs costs in other states, but for Florida, it's $125. The renewal for your LLC, which is annually, it's usually, I think it has to be renewed by May of each year. The renewal is $138.75. So when I opened my trailer, my renewal was $138, not $125, since I already had my LLC. Licensing for your trailer. So after you pass your inspection, you usually have to, well, before you even get to the inspection, you have to pay a $50 application fee. All right, once your application fee is in, you submit all the paperwork you need to submit, you have your inspection, all of that good stuff, then you have to pay for your license itself. Now, my trailer is licensed through DBPR. That is the Department of Business Professional Regulation, I believe is the acronym or what it stands for. So my licensing to own a mobile food dispensing vehicle is $347 annually, okay? You pay the application fee one time, you renew your license annually for $347 in Florida. Now, you have a trailer or you have a food truck. You have to register your trailer. Just like a car, you have to register your trailer. So I had a title for my trailer from the place I purchased it, and I brought that to the DMV, and registration for my trailer was about $80. I don't think I had a spare plate like under my name at the time, so I had to buy a whole new license plate and all that stuff. So all of that is included in that $80. Next is our fire inspection. Fire inspection is when they inspect the hood, the fire suppression system. They check that you have your extinguishers, that they're up to date, and all that good stuff. The fire inspection can range between $300 and $400. And I say it ranges because my first year, they charged me closer to $300, and my second year, they charged me almost $450. And I had to talk to them and figure some things out because that was just, it was kind of weird what happened. Once again, plenty story times I have for you guys, but expect to pay between $300 and $400 for your fire inspection if you have a trailer that has the hood system, fire suppression system, all of that. All right. So say, for example, if you were to do a trailer that is electric, you can avoid the fire inspection. You can avoid the gas line prices. You can avoid the hood system charges, but you still have to have your extinguishers, I believe. But those are ways you can kind of save money if you want to get into a food trailer. And like I said, you don't have to have everything to start up front. You could just start with what you have, if it's electric elements first, and then eventually you grow your trailer and you add on those things. By all means, do that. Let's see. Then last of the charges would be business insurance. Now, my insurance is through Flip, and they do like food liability insurance for food businesses and like self-contractors and stuff like that. So my insurance with Flip is $300.08 a year. Okay. Awesome insurance. I've had no problems with them. Yeah, I have nothing much more to say about that other than I might have a referral code I can include. But Flip Insurance is what I use to insure my trailer. And that is almost it. Then we have the trailer paint job. Now, everyone's trailer will be different. Not everyone is going to get it airbrushed like I did, or you might get yours vinyl wrapped, which getting it vinyl wrapped is a lot more money. It usually will run you between $3,000 and $4,000. That's why that was not an option for me. To get my trailer airbrush painted, it cost me $1,375. So honestly, huge save there. I'm 100% satisfied with the artwork and detail that went into that. So that is that. And then we are getting to the overall total. We're getting there. So for the trailer build out itself, with my builder, they still charge you tax and you still have to pay a service fee to the card processing system. So like I mentioned in my previous videos, I utilize credit cards to pay for my trailer. So with each transaction came a 3% service fee on top of paying 6% tax. So, and then I also did some transactions in cash as well. So I didn't pay tax and service fee on everything, but I can estimate that I spent an extra $1,100 on tax and service fees alone, okay? So, given all of those charges and totals and everything, now this overall grand total, once again, does not include the food inventory. This is purely equipment, supplies, packaging materials, the stuff I need to pass an inspection, like the extinguishers, the generator to turn on your trailer, stuff like that. This price is not including the food, okay? So, and I'm gonna not include the paint job in my grand total, or the grand total, because since the paint job is optional, that's what I did. My grand total without the paint job, without food inventory, is $29,549, okay? If you want to round it up, I spent $30,000 to get my trailer, build it out, approved with the inspection process, registered to the DMV, all of that good stuff and all the nitty gritty. $3,000 is the overall estimated build, okay? That is a lot of money, okay? In more exact numbers, I would have to do the math on this, and I don't have my other phone, and I don't have a calculator. But as mentioned before, my trailer paint job was $1,375. Add that to the $29,549, and that's how much I spent. So, yeah. I mean, if you want to round up the $29,000 to $30,000, you could say I paid $31,375 for my trailer, build out, paint job, everything. So that is the overall cost of what it took to get my food truck on the road and going, approve the inspection process, all the nitty gritty details. I have awful handwriting, but I will probably just snap a picture of this for you guys to view. The way I broke down my page was that I put a box around the final total for each section. So I went piece by piece and I recreated all this for you guys. Once again, that's the trailer cost, the build out. Then I have my like other items that just have to be purchased separately, like the generator, stuff like that. LLC, licensing, registration, all those official paperwork stuff. That's boxed in a different charge. But yeah, so that is how much it took. And like I said, I don't know if you guys watched my previous video yet or not, but this was all afforded from heavy savings, crowdfunding, and credit cards. And I was able to pay off my trailer within the first year of business. And so I don't pay any payments on my trailer. I own it outright. Mentioned in my previous video, they didn't have rent to own at the time that I was ready to buy. They didn't have any trailers built out at that moment. So I had to do it through the builder and stuff like that. So that is how much it cost me. If you guys have any questions, feel free to drop it in my comments. I'm super helpful. I don't charge for any of this knowledge that I've learned along the way. But yeah, feel free to reach out to me. And make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and follow. Check us out on social media, Instagram and Facebook. Everything is Crafted by Kiki. That is crafted with a K, and Kiki is K-I-K-I. All right, so that concludes the video. If you guys are interested in opening your own food truck or trailer, once again, drop it in the comments, either where you're at on your journey or if you guys have any questions. Now, it does take some money to open a trailer, but you don't need all the money in the world. And I'm here to help you guys and prepare you guys. So if you're aware of how much it may cost, that allows you guys to better prepare and plan for getting your own food truck or trailer. So once again, guys, thank you so much for watching. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and stay tuned for more videos. Bye.